Hello and welcome to my newest Let's Play, Lost Dimension. Yeah, I kinda hinted that I'd be putting in a new game in place of Rodea, and it was gonna be an RPG. And it turns out to be another Atlas one. Unlike the Persona 4 Golden playthrough, this is not gonna be a New Game Plus run, sort of. There is gonna be aspects of New Game Plus toward the end of the series, but you're not gonna see it for a little while. However, I will be using a little bit of DLC, and I'll explain that in the next update. You'll understand a lot of reasons why I'm doing a straight-up plain run instead of a New Game Plus run all the way through. It's going to be explained in the second episode. So yeah, so in Lost Dimension, the world is pretty much fucked, and it's all because Matt Mercer is not happy with it. This is not going to be a 100% run. Oh, see? There's Matt Mercer himself. And he's called The End, which is kind of an awesome yet kind of stupid name for your main antagonist. But look at that guy. Anyway. It's not going to be a 100% run in the way that Persona 4 Golden is kind of being. I'm going to show off all the files and other stuff all the collectibles that you get toward the final updates. But for the most part, it's just going to be a straight up go through the levels, try to beat them as best I can. I'm not going to be going for all S ranks. It's kind of just going to be a decent exposure to the game. Straight up. I know I'm talking over the cutscenes, but that's what the no commentary playthrough is for. There are going to be quite a few familiar voice actors that you might have noticed from the Persona 4 Golden playthrough. In fact, I believe the main character is portrayed by Sam Riegel. In fact, I can look that up right now. There's actually quite a few well-known voice actors in this game that worked with me. It is not giving me a name for the main character. His name is Sho. But he sounds like Sam Riegel. Anyway.
My head.
Maybe it's not Sam Riegel, but it sounds similar to him. Anyway, this is our main character, Sho Kasugai. This game is going to have a few similarities to Persona, if only because you try to have a bit of camaraderie among your teammates. It also has been getting a lot of similarities to the Danganronpa or Zero Escape or Phoenix Wright games due to there's kind of a court scenario. We're going to get into that pretty soon. There's also a bit of a comparison to Valkyria Chronicles. Speaking of which, that remastered version for the PS4 is coming out pretty soon. Looking forward to that. That was always a series I wish got more play in the States. So your characters have a set amount of space they can run, and they get one action. And there's usually a counterattack if you're within the enemy's range. But there's also a few other bars that you have to worry about, like your character's sanity. And they also have these things called gift points, which is going to be shown with our next character that we get to play as, Himeno Akatsuki. Each of our characters have psychic powers, which culminate in the form of gifts. Each character has their own unique has their own unique gifts that affect their gameplay. Himeno can use pyrokinesis. I like Himeno. She's a cool character. Ironically enough. She's slightly more interesting than the other fire character in Persona. I say slightly. By that, you know what, that's gonna get some backlash. No, there are two different fire-based characters. Yukiko has a little bit more character development than Himeno, but Himeno is a lot more atypical of like, the first female character. I guess your female protagonist. It's kind of hard to... Oh, but then we have George Jackman, my favorite character in the game. I do know who George Jackman is voiced by. They just didn't show off his voice acting just yet. He's voiced by DC Douglas. He loves it. George is my favorite character in this game, and you're gonna see why. If only because he's named George Jackman. And he's a huge justice freak. Unlike Zenji Maeda, he's kind of the asshole character of our group. But he's also the only character who uses a shotgun. But Zenji here gives us information on how to use deferring, which is basically allowing us to give another character, which allows one character to give the another character their move if they've already taken an action.
Don't get in my way.
So that can work out really well if you're trying to get your huge powerhouse across the map pretty quickly.
Damn.
Oh, there also is, unlike in Persona, when you purchase a new weapon, I know this is going a little further ahead of the video, but when you purchase a new weapon, it doesn't change the physical look of your character's on-screen weapons. They'll always have these particular weapons on screen. I don't know, that just kind of, that seems a little lazy to me. I know they don't have to do it, but still. Oh, and occasionally, if you're within a close enough range, another character will assist you in killing an opponent. Which brings us to Toya Orbert. Whatever. He's voiced by Grant George, who's not playing a scumbag for once. I'm having flashbacks to that Persona 4 cutscene. Oh, then we have Mana Kawaii. I think I just saw her name pronounced Kawaii.
Well then.
Or Mana Kimia. I don't know. She's voiced by Kira Buckland. Yay, Kira Buckland. Rina-chan from Newgrounds. It's good to see that she gets a lot of work nowadays. Good on her. Toya here is one of my favorite characters. He's kind of like the Yosuke character, if only because he's like the first male character who really connects with your main character. But even that is totally optional.
Not good.
Yeah, this game kind of... I've seen some reviews that kind of are generally positive about this game, but also there's plenty of nitpicks. The loading screens with this game are a bit crappy, and occasionally the camera angles are shit. But this game is surprisingly a lot better than I thought it had any right to be. This is also one of the games I've actually platinumed.
Let's go.
Because I enjoyed this game that much. I think it's a pretty swell RPG. It's got a nice little... It also kind of scratches a bit of the Persona itch I had.
Let's go.
Even though it's only similar to Persona in the fact that it has a few voice actors / somewhat team building conversations. But it doesn't go anywhere like near in depth as Persona does. Like there is no waifus in Lost Dimension. So no need to worry about that.
Yeah.
Also, another annoying thing is I had to constantly press the square button to Mana Kawaii. That's actually appropriate. I thought it was Mana Kimia for some reason. That's the name of a video game. My bad. Her whole thing is she likes things that are cute. Ironic enough that her ability is... Her psychic ability, which I'm not sure how that's a psychic ability, is to go super strong. All the other characters are going to explain what their powers are, so I don't really have to go into detail about that. Yeah, like I was saying, one of the annoying things is I had to constantly press the square button in order to do auto dialogue. Unlike in Persona 4, where I can just turn it on at the beginning in the options menu, and then it just stays on. Yeah, these loading screens are a bit weird. And yay! One of the few animated cutscenes. Here's the rest of our team.
Us 6 and you 5. That makes 11 of us in total.
That's great. We can play soccer with that many people.
That's supposed to be a joke?
We're all wearing similar
Himino's not the most lighthearted one of our team.
uniforms.
If it isn't the 11 psychics,
I'm Matthew Mercer. Would you like to join my D&D club?
welcome to the Pillar.
That voice. I know who he is. So you're the end.
You've come looking for me, no? I must greet you.
Did you know I'm the current voice for Kanji Tatsumi? I think I do pretty good. He does do very good, I admit
Seems you
that.
at least remember who I am. Of course we do. We came here to kill you after
Some of these
all.
cutscenes are not voiced.
With our memories, thinking we'd forget all that, too.
A lot of mind play in this
Tampered
game.
with our memories?
There's
Are you implying
there's
that's
Chie.
the reason
Aaron
why
Fitzgerald
we
as Nagi
got here?
Shishuoka. I like Nagi, she's
That would
cool.
seem a logical conclusion.
There's King Moron as Kirk Thornton.
Why have you done this?
It doesn't matter why. He's an enemy we have to defeat. That's all we need to know.
Weird that they didn't give us the healer in the first stage.
Just what I'd expect.
Sojiro feels that role if it wasn't obvious.
Lapdogs are so entertaining to watch.
What did you say? You messing with us?
I might be wrong on a few voice actors, but I do know a few of them.
Right, beastly.
Kara Buckland is trying her hardest to do a British accent.
The situation is more dire than you could imagine. I believe you are all forgetting one very important item. Important?
That's Marco. I do not like Marco.
There is a time limit.
He's not my favorite.
Completed launch preparations, and I now have a nuclear warhead aimed at every major city in the world. And I just pressed the switch.
So you're fucked.
What? That's a load of bull.
I don't know.
Warheads will launch 13 days from now. That
How do you do that with nuclear warheads? How do you get them on a timer?
for you to
I'm
come
curious
with
about
me.
that.
The UN seems to think you're up to the task.
Why you don't just shoot me right now, I don't know.
To come
But cool
here
on
and
you.
Stop me.
Oh,
Jeez, you scared me.
Agito is pretty cool. Oh, Nagi just shot him.
So guns have no effect on him.
But good on you. Good on the initiative. This is why I like
None of
Nagi.
you can lay a finger on me. I exist on a whole other plane.
So how do we
If
win?
you wish to kill me, you will need to climb this tower.
So he's only vulnerable if we get to the top of the Tower of Babel here.
So if you want to save the world, I suggest you work together and start your ascent. Oh, but wait.
It's kind of like
Did
Tartarus.
I mention there's a traitor among you?
And there's the kicker for this game.
Are you trying to scare
Similar
us?
to Danganronpa and Zero Escape, there's gonna be at least one character who's kind of siding with the
You want
end,
to climb higher,
and will try to sabotage your mission.
your own.
It says that on the back of the box.
Spouting nonsense.
So, pretty much,
Screw that guy.
it becomes a matter of trying to deduce who exactly is the traitor.
That's obviously a lie. How could a member of SEAL, upholder of justice, ever take the side of evil?
Weird coming from Albert Wesker.
Good if that's the case.
Just saying, the guy voices Albert Wesker, one of the most evil motherfuckers in Resident Evil. Sojiro Sagara. I'm pretty sure he's voiced by Kirk Thornton. Which, good on him, he sounds like a not asshole guy, unlike his Muraoka voice. I like Sojiro. He's a cool combat medic.
Damn it.
Yes.
So that's the name of the game. There's a traitor among us, and the end is only vulnerable at the top of the pillar. But you better know he's gonna keep popping in and out just to fucking dick with us. Saying, "Whoop, did you find the traitor? I bet you didn't find the traitor. Okay, woo!" And just run away. So this is another gameplay mechanic. It's talking with your teammates. Similar to the social links in Persona 4, there's going to be a little bit of me saying that a few times. And this is explaining what you can do in the lobby. But right now, we can only talk to people. Now, the first 2 people you talk to, you gain a bonus to their camaraderie. And if a character, which improves their trust, which means they're more likely to help you with an assist attack, or if you get it high enough, you can unlock a side quest to do a special mission for them. Toya has one of my favorite powers. He can control magnetic forces. Basically stuff that's made of metal, and he can also shoot lightning out of his hands at later levels. He's pretty useful. Again, he's like the Yosuke, in more than just... not really in personality, but mainly because he's kind of the jack of all trades. He seems a little bit more focused on, like, gifts, but overall he's a really solid unit. And also, he uses machine guns. Let's move on to one of my other favorite characters, Nagi, who also uses machine guns. Her power is flight, or levitation, I should say. This makes it she's a really fast and evasive unit, who doesn't really get hit that often, at least in my experience. She's a by-the-book soldier character, so not really like Chie. But I like her all the same. She's a cool lady. Her powers can also let her do, like, on-the-fly rider kicks, which is awesome. We've already gone over what Himino can do. She can burn shit. But really her power focuses on heat. I.e. either burning stuff or the absence of heat. So at later levels, she'll be able to actually use ice. So she's kind of like Pyro / Iceman, both in one. She's also very antisocial. She uses knives as weapons. Mana Kawaii. She's our monk of the group. Her psychic power is called Overdrive, which basically focuses on her getting super buff and strong and breaking shit with her bare hands or throwing, like, freaking rubble at people. I'm pretty sure Kira Buckland isn't a native of London. I can easily double check that. I'm pretty sure she was born in the States. And she's just doing a really weird British accent. But Sojiro here is our healer. No, she was born in Anchorage. She was born in Alaska. So yeah, not London. Anyway, back to Sojiro. He just heals people. That's his thing. Very useful. He uses throwing knives. Also, he has a power that he can overheal an enemy and basically damage them by healing them too much. Zenji is the only guy who uses a shotgun. He's also very antisocial and doesn't really like anybody, since he just called us a bastard. His power is that he can use other people's powers. So he's kind of like a mime of Final Fantasy. He can sync up with other characters' abilities, and then at later levels, he's actually able to use those abilities on his own. Pretty cool. Marco here uses a handgun, just like our character, and a character we're gonna talk to pretty soon. His power is psychokinesis.
Oh.
He can levitate shit and throw it, and it's the most boring psychic power in my opinion. Just levitating. But apparently, he's kind of like a glass cannon who can use really powerful magic power attacks, but he's always prone to going really crazy, which is a problem with the sanity meter. If it goes down too low, your character goes apeshit and then they just start going berserk. Yoko here is a telepath. She can read people's minds. She also uses a handgun. I guess she's kind of like our resident debuff / buff character, if you want to get into details like that. I don't really use her that much. Not if I can help it.
Yes.
But reading minds are so useful. It's so useful. It's super good for spy work and crap like that. That would make you immensely useful for, like, a military group. Agito Yuki. I think he's voiced by Benjamin Diskin, who voiced, oh, shoot. I want to say it was... Oh, it was the best friend character in Devil Survivor 2. I'm going to get that name. I'm going to look it up. His power is teleportation. He's our assassin character. I like him a lot. He also uses knives like Himino. He's super cool. And he's also a little naive and wants to be friends with everybody. That's his whole thing. Daichi Shijima. That's who he voices. And then we have my favorite, George Jackman. He uses a katana. And he's the only American character, and he speaks in really huge weeb speak. He's a huge fanboy of justice, and he's kind of like the best version of the guy who really likes Japan, but has probably never been there. His power is, I guess, reading the thoughts of, like, items and buildings to where he can kind of adapt them into his sword.
When he said he'd launch those missiles in 13 days, I wonder if he was lying.
Really?
This is a man who's destroyed half the planet. Let's not discount his threat so quick.
I agree with Toya.
In fact, it's probably
He's called the End.
truth about this.
Why do you assume he would be back? Why do you assume he would be bluffing?
Do you really think there's one among us?
It said it on the back of the box, Nagi, otherwise that'd be false advertising.
Possibly be the traitor. Are you trying to claim that you're not the traitor then?
That was not my intent.
I'm totally the traitor.
This is a circular discussion. Obviously, the traitor would not reveal his or her identity.
This shit is stupid.
Simple. Trust no one.
Okay, here's an idea. How about we just use Yoko? Why doesn't Yoko just read everybody's minds?
Whoever's the traitor, come clean.
Please stop it. How can
Unless
you
she's the
stop your
traitor.
teammates? I don't like this at all. So what if you don't like it? Are you fine with the traitor doing as they please?
Himino is a realist, but she's also
That's not what
a bit,
I
like, abrasive to a point.
There's no need to phrase it that way. In any case, we have no way of
I
determining...
haven't gotten into what our character can do for their psychic ability, but that's going to be explained pretty soon.
It could be a ruse he's using just to get under our skin. He's done a good job of getting to us so far.
Regardless, we aren't making any progress by discussing this.
Right. All we can do is move forward.
So the best countermeasure for now is to keep an eye on one another, huh?
Even though we're teammates, I'm against the whole notion.
Whatever. I don't care if you're all a bunch of traitors. I'm killing the End and saving the world.
It'd be real funny if you were the traitor after saying all that.
I like Agito.
What'd you say?
Try hitting him. You can't do it.
Prattle, you're starting to give me a hint.
Agito is super useful and can almost never be
All we
hit.
can do now is move
Almost
forward.
never.
Does it matter if there's a traitor in our ranks?
A little
We're
bit.
just a hastily made team anyway.
That sounds like something the traitor would say, Himino.
We're simply a gathering of people with similar goals. Nothing more.
Isn't that a little bleak?
That is a little bleak, Marco, but at the same time, half the world's been blown the fuck up. I think it's about time to get a little bleak.
We have to keep going.
I think everything's a little bleak at the moment. Shit's fucked, man. Game over. The world's already fucked. The bad guy kind of already won, and now he's just trying to nuke the rest of it. So I guess save the shit pile? Anyway. So now with our setup... Now with our setup, we can check out what kind of equipment we can already attach to our characters. Besides their weapon, they also have access to a gadget, which is defensive stuff. Apps also improve your stats. Oh, and since I have the DLC, I can swap them out to their DLC costumes. As you'll notice, some characters have the same weapons, and some of them have unique weapons. And this is kind of separate from your leveling up. Occasionally after you finish missions, you will get these things called gift points. And then you can come over here to your little gift board and then just strengthen or learn new gifts. Some of these also have words underneath them that say materia. We'll get into that in part 3. That's when we'll get into that. And then, of course, for items, you have your typical healing items, and it also lists your weapons. And I also have all the DLC, because I don't know, because I just have it. I'm going to be using the DLC in the next episode, in the next part. There's going to be a reason for that. I'm not using the XP items. I'm going to be using the gift items. And if I do use the experience ones, it's going to be toward the end, like at the last part. Like if I feel like I don't need it, like I don't want to grind too heavily. We also have DLC missions. I believe those were free. You also have different types of missions. M missions progress the story and also are more like, and I think are guaranteed, and are guaranteed to give you gift points at the end of the battle, even if you don't level up. While S ones are side missions that you can just do just to get ranks. Now, out of your 11 characters, you get to pick out about 5 of them. Nope. Yeah, 6 of them. I'm sorry, I miscounted, even though I'm going blind here. I'm sorry. It's a pretty cool way to sort of structure your battles. You get your whole team right off the bat. Unlike Persona or other JRPGs.
Top floor, huh? Wish we had more to go on. I mean, anyone know the way to go to reach the top?
Up?
Our only option is to search the area. It could be a trap, but we don't have much of a choice.
Now, going off
Says the person who can levitate.
We are the only ones who entered the pillar.
Wait a minute. If I recall correctly, we had far more members with us.
He just sounds like a superhero, even in casual conversation.
Made it inside. Either that or they all died, but I doubt it.
What gives? Why are we the only ones that got in?
Maybe it's the one thing we have in common. Our gifts.
That thought sounds reasonable enough.
They never specified how many.
Himeno always sounds so disinterested in the whole
There
affair,
were others out there with abilities like I had.
despite the fact that people
It's
are
regrettable
dying.
that we were put in this situation before we had a proper grasp of our members.
You mean the traitor, huh?
If you ask me, I say screw them. They try anything stupid, it'll blow their cover.
Oh, nice one. Quite a clever way to guide suspicion away, Mr. Mafia Man.
What'd you say, you little brat?
Why does he look like the Mafia?
Hold it.
I don't think the Mafia has, long-ass dreads. 2 dreads. I don't know what you call those things in front of Zenji's head.
It's gonna be even harder to figure out a means to find the enemy.
Everybody stop being dicks, but also don't let the traitor fool you.
Let's go. Let's do this.
So, during missions, you can actually pick up collectibles. There's like research logs, there's character logs. These will occasionally pop up in missions for you to pick up.
Then let's begin.
It's also really handy that just pressing the circle button lets you redo your motions. Just in case you're not feeling entirely confident with your previous action. So right here, I'm gonna just let George go apeshit on these guys. Because George is our main damage dealer. He does the highest amount of damage, but his range is crap. In fact, most of our melee characters do not always have that many techniques that work toward enhancing their range. And Nagi's ability, her levitation, is kind of makes it a little goofy. She was just sitting on Toya's head. It's all about range. Toya's coil shot works to attack enemies from afar, and that usually gets rid of the whole countering problem. Despite Sojiro being a medic, he's actually pretty useful in combat. His throwing knives do a decent amount of damage. Right now, Nagi doesn't have her gift available to her. You have to unlock those. You'll notice that I sometimes look at at Sho or Nagi or some other character who doesn't have a gift because I assume they automatically all have one. But they don't. Oh, this game also functions on the whole back attack and critical attack thing, which can really work against you. Fortunately, Nagi is able to dodge attacks like a beast, for the most part. Both she and Agito are really good at avoiding attacks.
Let's do this.
I guess that makes sense given their abilities. Every time George gets up to bat, he just has to, like, laugh heroically.
Let's begin.
George is going to be tanking a lot of shots in this playthrough. And for some reason, Toya can never get a shot so far, for me. I don't know why that is. Even if you... It kind of has the whole XCOM thing. Where you might be right up to an opponent's face, and you have the gun jutting in their mouth, but he somehow still misses.
Roger that.
If it's not obvious, you can't use your gifts too much, otherwise you'll run low on both sanity and on your gift points, and that'll kind of leave you with just your basic weapon. Or it'll leave your character going crazy. Which occasionally works in your favor and occasionally does not.
Let's see to those wounds.
Yeah, it's kind of necessary to have Sojiro in your crew. It's kind of necessary to have a white mage in your crew almost all the time. That's kind of a JRPG rule.
Let's do this.
I'm not really sure where the end got all these robots from. I feel like that's a story element, but I don't think I may have forgotten what the exact reason for it is. But I don't think we're ever going to be fighting any outright humanoid enemies. Except for, like, the end. And maybe the traitor. Oh, characters who have knives like Agito and Himino can both attack twice, which is really useful. Especially for Agito, since he's our resident assassin, who is likely not to suffer the consequences of getting countered, considering he'll probably just dodge it. And he also does crazy damage with that knife whenever he gets to higher levels.
However... Seriously?
You were just buying the whole traitor thing before, Zenji. Whoever the traitor is, just fess up. Tell us who the traitor is. Come clean. Nah, it's a bunch of bullshit. That didn't look suspicious at all.
Huh?
George?
What?
I don't know. So, that kind of gets into what Sho's psychic ability is. Sho's ability is called Premonition. He can see a little bit into the future. Kind of like That's So Raven. He can see a little into the future. Not far enough to outright say who the traitor is, at least not on the first go. Although things aren't looking that great for George. I'm sure that was nothing. No, we just had a flash that George had one of our friend had Yoko by the neck with a sword. I'm sure that's nothing. Also, one of the useful things is, unlike Persona 4, your characters outside your party also get some experience.
The enemy's still the enemy.
And after each battle, you'll get this little scene, where Sho will hear people's voices, but there'll always be one voice that sounds a little different from the rest. And that might just be the traitor. This will be explained a little bit better in part 3. And now we have our shop.
What is it?
This is the generator. It can basically... After every fight, we usually get this metal, or... it's the currency of the game from our enemies. And we can use that to go to the generator and buy some new weapons, gadgets, apps, or just healing items and all the other such business. Why is everybody looking at me, the American, like that?
What?
So nobody's powers work anytime, ever. Everybody's power is useless except in battle. So we can't just magic it away.
Whoa.
It's basically like if Kenshi tried... No, not Kenshi. Yeah, let's say... It's like if Kenshi tried reading the mind of Ermac from Mortal Kombat. There's too many voices. You'll go freaking crazy if you try reading all that stuff. So I buy... Well... Yeah, and after every battle, you can go ahead and talk with your members. Again, only the first 2 give you more camaraderie. So I try to sort of spread it out a little bit. Just a bit. With the characters I like the most. Although I'm going to hold off on George because that flash was a little... But they'll generally just say the same thing. And you can still talk to the other members. You just won't get any closer with them. I guess seeing who you talk to first kind of gives them a bit of an impression of you. He has the Nightcrawler problem. Although his powers are a little bit more advanced than Nightcrawler, considering he can teleport other people. He can teleport pieces of other people, to be more precise. Like he can teleport a part of your arm off. It's not going to show that, but that's essentially what it's implying.
You're right.
This game is actually pretty easy to grind in. Cash and experience is not really a problem, so long as you're willing to just do the same stage over and over again. Oh, and that gold little talk box provides even more dialogue. And if you do this enough, you're likely to increase the trust level of your party member pretty high. But you also have to say the proper thing, at least toward the end of this social link, we'll call it. We'll call this a social link. And doing this enough unlocks a secret mission, a special side quest for that particular character. And that, of course, has a bunch of special goodies. Like it has character files. And I think it also gives you some gift experience. And some other cool items.
But
I like Erin Fitzgerald's characters. Even if she's playing a character who's really focused on kung fu and meat and stuff like that, or if she's playing a straight up soldier, or if she's playing an Afro lady in Catherine. She's just pretty cool all around.
I see.
It actually took me a bit by surprise that she actually voiced Naz from Edda and Eddie. Considering I grew up with that show and I never knew about voice acting at that point.
but
Now whenever I go back and watch Edda and Eddie, I just can't help but hear Chie. It's a little weird. There definitely is one. The back of the box would not lie. That's probably not the best thing to say, but still, we need to be a little realistic. Just not be a dick like Himino sometimes.
You're right.
You'd think Himino would be like the female protagonist since she's like the first female character we see. I hesitate to say there's... You know what? Wait till the end of part 2, and then I'll be able to explain a bit more of why I'm feeling a bit weird on calling certain characters protagonists or not. Sho is definitely our protagonist, because he's us. He's our character. Even though this doesn't exactly provide much of a bonus, I still like just going through the dialogue. And they all pretty much just give you the basic dialogue bits like, this tower is pretty weird. I don't think the End made it, but he's definitely in control of it. Oh boy, that End dude is such an asshole. I want to shoot him in the face. Or, oh man, these traitors. These traitors. Zenji says he's like a real huge badass, but in most of the playthroughs I've done, Zenji, I want to say Zenji's kind of like the Dark Knight character in this game. And I really like that class, but I don't know. Maybe I just haven't spec'd out Zenji, because I've tried using him in some of my other playthroughs. And he's always been he's been kind of a useful character, but at the same time, he's also been just kind of, I don't know. He's not as strong as I'd like him to be for a guy with a shotgun. It always seemed like he was getting kind of outpaced in strength by either George or Toya.
Wait a minute.
I already told you I can't do that. It's like Sho wasn't even listening. George's power is weird, but it's interesting. It's weird in practice because he can apparently read thoughts of an item or a building, I guess, to kind of have a better mastery of it. But in gameplay, that translates to I can really trick out my sword and make it super awesome. I could basically give my sword the ability of lightning and just cut a bitch. Which I think is super cool. Next we have our generator. Like I said, I think I get everybody else a weapon except Mana because I just ran out of cash. Right now I think you can only buy weapons at this point. I buy Sojiro's weapon first, I don't know why. And I buy Marco and Yoko both weapons, and yet I didn't get anything for Mana. I don't know what my thought process was on this. But it's fine. The weapons aren't really that expensive until like late in the game. And it works because, yeah, you can't get any gadgets, but you can get items, so those are useful. It's kind of useful that most characters can share weapons. Kind of makes a little, kind of gives it a little less diversity in your combat, but that's still pretty cool. I might show off the DLC costume. I'll show off the DLC costumes at one of the later videos, like toward the end, just to show you what you might be purchasing. Brain Hacker, Sense. They each have their own unique titles for their abilities. All right, now I just spend the rest of the video upgrading their fate, upgrading their fate boards, their gifts. Some of them don't get really good ones until you pour in some extra gift points. And some new abilities require multiple levels of one particular ability. And these things are pretty long. So that's kind of why I use... And I'll explain more of why I use the DLC to get some more points in the next part. Toward the end of the video. You'll understand why. So of course for Nagi I go with the Rider Kick. Because it can't be countered, and it's also pretty strong. And it's got good range. Don't get too intimidated by the size of these fate boards. Or these gift boards. I don't know what to call it. Because in New Game Plus runs, you actually do get to keep the gift points that you've accumulated throughout your playthrough. So that makes future runs go a lot quicker. Again, which is very useful whenever I get into it in the next part. If I don't touch on it in the next part, I'll touch upon it on part 3. Yeah, so each character has 3 aspects of their gift. Yoko's just happens to be buffs and debuffs. Agito's is pretty good. Teleportation. This can range from teleporting a portion of an opponent's body off of them, or teleporting his buddies away from harm. George's are kind of weird. They mostly focus on dealing damage to mechanical foes. Alright, and the next time we'll go more in depth about the tower. Until then, thanks for watching.